Okay, we might have a few more people joining us, but we're right on the dot and we have a lot to cover. So I'll go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone. This is our second live information session about the 2024 WEPs Awards. So we're going to walk you through everything about the WEPs Awards, the criteria, how you complete the application, how the scoring is done, and also help give you some tips and answer any other questions you might have. Okay. So first, one of the reasons we're all here, the WEPs, as they're called, the WEPs Awards, are based on the Women's Empowerment Principles. Some of you may be very familiar, maybe it's your first time hearing about it today. These are a set of 7 principles that were launched in 2010 by UN Women and UN Global Compact. Okay, we're recording. I just wanted to double check. Launched in 2010 as really a normative framework to guide private sector organizations to advance gender equality and women's empowerment across their value chain. So we always call the WEPs kind of a value chain approach because the 7 principles go from the C-suite into leadership commitments, into the workplace, and then into the marketplace, into the community, and then supported by a principle on transparency and reporting. So it's open for all private sector entities across the world. So we have more than 9,560 signatories globally. We will hit 10,000 soon. And in Asia Pacific, we actually have more than 2,560. I just checked last time yesterday. And as of last year, we're the fastest growing region for new commitments, which is really amazing. So we knew that a lot of companies in our region were kind of having innovative practices, advancing gender equality in many different ways aligned to these different principles. So in 2020, we launched our first Asia Pacific WEPs Awards. So this is our regional awards initiative to find those best practices and recognize companies for their private sector practices that are in alignment with the WEPs. So we ran for 3 annual cycles from 2020 to 2022. And in that time, we had more than 1,500 applications from more than 1,000 participating companies. Each company can submit up to 2 applications. So that's why there's more applications than companies. And we've awarded and recognized the actions of more than 300 leaders and companies in that time. Just going to mute someone quickly. Great. You can see on the right side here, these are our typical categories. We've had these kind of same 5 categories for a long time, again, following the WEPs value chain principles. We also have a special award for SME champions that I'll tell you about. And then we do have a special category each year. So we have a special one for 2024. Some of you maybe already know what it is, but we'll go over it if you don't know what it is. So I wanted just to kind of inspire everyone quickly, give you a bit of a taste before we dive in of what it's actually like when we celebrate these WEPs Awards and bring everyone together. It's a major regional process. We do have national level awards and regional, I will explain, but I want to share a video from our 2022 regional ceremony. Okay, bear with me while I make sure we are sharing sound. Okay, just a second. I'm trying to make sure I find it right. Okay, we'll cancel that. Sorry. Share. This should work. Okay, I'm going to play this video, and Dea, maybe you can just let me know if the sound is playing or not.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, partners, friends, and advocates for gender equality, a warm welcome to the UN Women 2022 Asia Pacific WEPs Awards Regional Ceremony.
always love seeing that video. I hope it's inspiring. Um, so yes, this is kind of an encapsulation of the 2022 awards. We actually happened to have 22 awardees for the 2022 cycle. And just a small showcase here, we have winners from all across the region, and we have large corporates and SMEs. And we're going to talk about how if you're a small SME, you can also make sure you apply and are competitive. So another thing I want to mention that we did in 2023, we did not have a WEPs Awards. What we did is we decided for the first time to bring our WEPs community together because we really started a lot of this work during COVID, and we'd had the awards celebrations, but we hadn't brought everyone together for some deeper reflection, for some learning, and for some kind of peer exchange as well of what different regions, different countries are doing. So we had a WEPs forum in Manila, November 8th to 9th of last year. We had about 170 participants across private sector, public sector. We had corporates, SMEs, investors, governments, business regulators as well. And we went through a whole session of kind of interactive breakouts, plenary panels, keynote speeches. It is a bit delayed, but we will have a WEPs forum outcome report coming soon where you can read a little bit more about what happened at the forum. And this was kind of the start of a new process for us for the WEPs Awards. So this is relevant to the WEPs Awards. We're now going to move into a 2-year cycle. So if you're thinking, I'm not sure if we're ready to apply this year, we'll apply next year, there won't be a WEPs Awards next year. There'll be a WEPs Awards in 2024, this year, and 2026. What we will do next year is celebrate the 2024 awardees and have that convening in person. So we're moving to this 2-year cycle of kind of recognition and then reflection, deepening the action and sharing those learnings. So apply this year. It won't be happening again next year is kind of the key message on that. Okay, we'll go into the WEPs Awards in detail. I'm going to share a lot of information, kind of presentation style to you, and then we'll have more time at the end to ask questions. And I'll try to answer some questions that already come up, but will have time to answer questions if I don't get to that. Okay, so the awards is open to all private sector organizations in the Asia Pacific. If you are eligible to join the WEPs community, you can apply for the awards. So it is for private sector entities. If you're an NGO or a foundation or a government agency, you're not eligible to apply. If you're a social enterprise or chambers of commerce, industry associations are sometimes registered as nonprofits, but they are still eligible. Stock exchanges can join and apply. Securities and Exchange Commissions of the government entity cannot. So we can answer more questions about that as well, but it is for private sector entities. It is open to any organization in a country in the Asia Pacific. So we do have national awards processes. These take place in countries where we have deeper WEPs programming. So for this year, this will be India, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. What this means is that all the applications submitted for those countries will go first to our country teams there, and then they will kind of select their top awardees um, for the national level, and then top awardees will get fed into the regional pool, which is where all of the applications are kind of combined, and then we'll celebrate regional winners. The national ceremonies usually take place in October, and then the regional ceremony in November. Um, all of the awardees, so UN Women does a first round of shortlisting, but all of the final awardees are determined by an external panel of judges who join us as experts in gender equality and gender in business, business and human rights, kind of multi-stakeholder panel of expert jury members that join us. So at regional level, we do always have awardees from, Pakistan, Bangladesh. We've had some from Japan, from Australia as well. It really is open to all Asia Pacific countries. So one quick note on the timeline, applications are open now until June 30th. If you are very interested to apply, but you're not sure if you can make the deadline, send us an email or reach out to us, and we can also work with you to see how we can support you. But in general, they close on June 30th. August and September is when shortlisted applicants are notified. And then in October, we have those national ceremonies, and in November, we'll have the regional ceremony. Okay, we'll go to the categories now. So we have 5 standard categories that we call the main categories. This is leadership commitment, gender inclusive workplace, gender responsive marketplace, community engagement and partnerships, transparency and reporting, and then the highlighted category for 2024 is innovative financing. This is our special kind of newly introduced category for this year. So one thing you'll notice, so there's 6 categories total. Each of these categories can have a winner, a first runner-up, and a second runner-up. So each of the 6 can have 3 awardees, so 18. And then what we also do, because we recognize the pivotal role that SMEs play in our region, and about 50, I think 6%, I just did the calculations a few days ago, of our WEP signatories in Asia Pacific are from MSMEs. So we want to recognize the role they play. So we grant an additional 3 SME Champion Awards. So in total, at the regional level, we'll have 21, sometimes with exception 22 awardees. So there is ample awards to actually be gained if you apply. So going through the categories a little bit more. So the first one is leadership commitment aligned to WEP Principle 1. So this is the only award that actually goes to an individual. So this is for leaders in corporations who have set strong corporate commitments, looking at policies, setting the groundwork for implementing the WEPs, or just taking actions on gender equality in their organization. The keynote on this one, so this award could go to founders. This could be the SME. It does not have to be a CEO of a corporate. This could also be someone with another leadership position in an organization that's taking a leadership role. In the past, we have had a separate youth leadership category. We don't have that this year, but there's no age limit or minimum age for this leadership commitment as well. So if you're a young 25-year-old founder of an enterprise that's doing good work to support women in your community or gender equality in your community, you can apply. This award can also go to a person of any gender identity or any nationality. It's not a women's award. And if you're from a different country but implementing something in an Asia Pacific country, you can still be awarded for that effort in that country. So the only award that actually goes to an individual. All the rest go to the actual organization. So the next one is gender inclusive workplace, and this kind of covers principles 2, 3, and 4 of the WEPs. This is a lot of different work, and this can also mean many different things. You can be implementing multiple things on inclusive workplace or one thing. Maybe you want to share with us one particular effort that you have on equal recruitment or equal pay. This could also be flexible work arrangements if you're trying to support employees with family responsibilities or care responsibilities. Guaranteeing the safety and well-being of women and male employees. This could be in your main office, or this could also be in your supply chain workplaces, for example. It doesn't just have to be the standard workplace. This could also be promoting career development, mentorship, and training. So companies that are trying to promote more women into leadership, that's not the leadership category. It would actually fit more into this category. This could also be broader diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. If you're taking extra steps to look at gender inclusion, but also how you make the workplace or your organization better for people with who identify as LGBTQIA plus or people with disabilities, or you're taking an effort to hire people of diverse ages or ethnic backgrounds in addition to gender, we also would want to hear about that. So for this as well, you can submit one workplace initiative, or you can submit this and cover the many different initiatives you're doing. The next one is gender responsive marketplace. This is WEPs Principle 5, and this is often where we see most companies in the region are still starting their journeys. This has two main pillars to it when we look at it. One is really looking at supplier diversity. So maybe you're trying to buy from more women-owned businesses or more procure from more businesses owned by women with disabilities or women with diverse backgrounds, whatever it is. You're also looking at maybe you're just tracking data on your procurement spend and trying to look at how you can make your supply chain more inclusive, or you might be encouraging your suppliers to have better standards on gender equality so that you have that impact throughout the value and supply chain. The other pillar of this can be marketing and advertising. So companies that either if they're advertising companies in their brands or products, they're trying to showcase or fight against stereotypical gender portrayals or stereotypes, or they're trying to start a conversation through their marketing and advertising or portray different types of norms. Um, that could work. It could also be changing your website, maybe how you portray the roles of employees in your company. Or maybe you have a internal campaign on paternity leave. And so you do a lot of internal communications on promoting paternity leave and sharing of care within the family. Um, for programs supporting women entrepreneurs in capacity development or market opportunities, this could also go here. The next category, which could also be if you're supporting women entrepreneurs in different ways, could be community engagement and partnerships. So this is WEP Principle 6. And the reason we call this both community engagement and partnerships is because, on the one hand, it can be doing things within the community. Maybe you're working directly with a community that is in your value chain or in your where you operate to have an impact, or through CSR funding. This could be CSR programming, but also we want to see kind of innovative steps to form new partnerships that help advance gender equality. This could be joining a multi-stakeholder alliance to create industry change, like Unstereotype Alliance is a great example, or another kind of industry coalition that's seeking to create more widespread change. So this as well goes to a company or an organization. Um, this could also be an industry association seeking to create change in their broader industry, coming together to influence all of their member companies or the companies that make up their body as well. I think the main thing with this that we would want to see if it's a CSR or philanthropy program is that it's not just a transactional financial support, that the company applying has actually helped co-create the initiative, implement it, or monitor it as well, not just provided the funds. Transparency and reporting. This is based on WEP Principle 7. So this recognizes private sector champions that are promoting gender equality through tracking, measuring, collecting data, and ideally reporting on it. We know not every company is disclosing all of the gender data they might be tracking publicly, and sometimes that's a long process that needs to be discussed with the board or other members. So this as well can be arranged. This could be that you have added gender metrics into your sustainability reporting, or you're just reporting publicly on your website or through social media on some of your impact data that you're having on women workers or women in your value chain. This could also be internal kind of studies to better track and measure your data, like an internal pay audit, for example, or looking at procurement spend. If you really are trying to undertake assessments and measurements and set KPIs to boost your inclusive procurement, that could still fit in this category. This also would be for stock exchanges or chambers or industry associations if they're advocating in their industry to advance public reporting of gender data. Okay, and I'll go to our last category. Okay, yep, sorry, I see some questions coming in. We will answer those for sure. So our not our last category, but our new category for 2024 is innovative financing. So here we were really inspired by the theme of International Women's Day, investing in women and accelerating progress. A lot of these efforts, we have seen applications before, and they were often submitted in the marketplace category, supporting investments for women entrepreneurs. But we really wanted to make this, give it its own highlight this year. So this is for, could be a corporation as well, or a stock exchange, an investor, a financial institution, commercial banks, or other impact investors or other VCs even that are promoting gender equality through innovative financing. So this could be things like designing a financial product and service, an instrument, a fund, a blended finance modality, that really helps advance gender equality. And this could be in any way with any of the seven WEPs principles, or if it's a private sector entity that it's advancing a financial mechanism to drive women, peace, and security, or support, gender responsive disaster risk reduction or climate change, that could also be something we consider. This could be a gender lens fund, developing a gender bond. This could also be developing a framework to guide private sector investments towards gender equality. So maybe you're not the organization investing yourself, or designing the specific vehicle or fund, but you're designing frameworks that can help companies either assess their portfolio companies or otherwise advance gender equality and driving more capital either into the hands of women entrepreneurs or gender responsive entrepreneurs or towards efforts that advance gender equality. Similar to the community category, the initiatives that will not be likely to win for this category are those that are just financing projects. Although we recognize there's an incredible role for putting the resources behind these projects itself, we really want to see that the applying organization has put effort behind designing it, implementing it, or measuring progress in it. So it's really been a partnership to kind of advance the WEPs in that way. Okay. So who should apply? We'll go a little bit more now into eligibility, scoring, and then we'll get to the application process and make sure we look through that in detail. So as we've said, it's for everyone in business. This applies for single entrepreneurs, SMEs, MSMEs, up to multinationals, large corporates, stock exchanges, industry associations. All nationalities are welcome to apply for the leadership awards, and all people with different gender identities to apply as well. All companies in any Asia Pacific country, and also you don't need to be a WEP signatory to apply. We actually find each year about half of our applicants are not WEP signatories before they completed the application. In order to finally be awarded, you do need to become a signatory, but that comes after we let you know that you were shortlisted. And it's a very easy process to join the WEPs. We will be sharing the slides and the recording after, so you can click this link. You sign a CEO statement of support and upload it with a short application. There's no financial cost to join the WEPs, and there's no reporting obligation. It's really that commitment to undertake that journey and aspire to work on the different principles. Okay, I'm not going to go on that slide, but just a few reasons on why to apply. The WEPs Awards, we've really grown an incredible community with the WEPs Awards. You really get fantastic global and regional visibility as one of our WEPs awardees. You kind of join that pool of 300 WEPs champions that we have. So we do develop case studies of our awardees, and these go on the global webs.org website. We also have testimonial videos that we feature on our YouTube channels as well. And then we also regularly go back to our WEPS awardees for speaking opportunities and to join us at different events. Yes, so I'll just address a quick question that's in the chat right now relevant to being a WEPS. If you want a WEPS awards, you're not a WEPS signatory. You have to actually apply to the website to become a signatory. So you submit that application and then it comes to us on the back end and we do a quick review and then we approve you as a WEPS signatory. Okay, the application process. Let's actually go to the application and start to look at it. So everything is done through our website that you go to first. Then you choose a language and then complete the sections and upload files. So we do ask that every section has uploaded documents. For the languages, actually, I think this is detailed on the next page. Yes. All applications are submitted online. The standard application is English just because we don't have the resources in every country to offer local language and translation and review capacity. We do have applications in Bahasa Indonesian, Vietnamese, and Thai. And this is because we do have national processes there where we have teams to be able to review them. So you can submit one application for up to 2 categories, and you choose these when you go onto the portal. So part 1 is general applicant information, just about your company. Part 2 are multiple choice questions that assess your internal policies and practices aligned to the WEPs. And I'll go over this in a second. I will go in detail. And part 3 are the category questions where you actually submit what you've been doing. So in both parts 2 and 3, you're asked to upload supporting documents that provide evidence for the claims. Some of these questions are difficult and you may not have the policies we ask for. So I'll show you how to do this, but especially for startups and entrepreneurs, what you can do is just open a blank Word document, write us a short explanation. I don't have this policy, but we currently have these practices. Upload that Word document, and that's fine. We'll take that into consideration. So part 1 are these general questions, kind of your name, where do you operate, who's the founder, the contact person, da da da. So part 2 are these different questions aligned to the WEPs. So for example, this question on, does your company offer and support paid maternity leave? This would be for your full-time employees. That's why there's no answer option, although maybe we should have this in the future. But you select the answer and then you specify in here. We do ask you for written documents. And then again, if you don't have this policy fully written out as a formalized policy, what you can do is write it in that Word document and then upload it online. And we'll go to the portal itself in a second. So part 3 are the category questions. This is where you write about the category that you choose. And they all follow the same structure. You have background and context, key actions taken and lessons learned, and results and sustainability. The word limit is pretty strict. I think we have it set so it cuts you off for each section. And so background and context, we're kind of asking you, why did you start this project? What was the rationale? What is the purpose? What was the problem to be solved? Also, what kind of, in a nutshell, were you seeking to do, the impact you were seeking to have when you started it? And then key actions taken and lessons learned is where we have a little bit more of a word count, because that's where we want the bulk of the information. So what did you do? Right? What actions? What's the time frame? Were other partners involved? How did it work? We also really want to hear what were challenges. We want to hear that. Were there any roadblocks you faced, internal or external? And what did you learn from those? Or how did you adapt or adjust to move through those and keep the program going? And then 400 words for results and sustainability. So, to date, what results do you have? Try and be as specific as possible and upload numbers if you have them. How are you measuring success and determining success? What indicators are you using? And also, how do you plan to carry forward the initiative? Do you have any plans to expand this, bring it to another office or another region, or you want to form a partnership to expand it? These things. For the supporting documents, there is no limit on the supporting documents. In section 2 or section 3, you can upload multiple. If it's a large file, what we ask that you do is either send us a WeTransfer, or if you can upload it on a Google Drive, you can send the links. So you can send a Word document and send links to videos that might be on YouTube. This can also be social media clips on Instagram or LinkedIn, or public articles, wherever that information might be available. And this could also be even internal newsletters that you have and you keep certain information private. It could also be sustainability reports that you actually have that have been published externally. Okay, I think because I want to answer a few more on the portal itself. But after you, just a note, when you start, you can save at any time and then come back to the application later, so that you can get started and then go back and finish. And when you're ready, you just submit it, and then it comes to us. So one note about the scoring, and then we'll go to the website together. So the shortlisting is conducted by UN Women. We do that first internal review. So one important thing here I want to emphasize, part 2, where we ask you all those scary questions about internal policies and practices, we have one application to streamline the process, but we understand we have a lot of amazing SMEs in our region that don't have all the internal policies and practices in place yet. So while we are considering that, this is weighted at only 25% of your overall application. This is all completed automatically based on the multiple choice answer, and then we verify the answer with supporting documentation. So if you choose an answer that says, yes, I offer A, B, C, and D as part of inclusive workplace, but then we read your document and it's not there. And that a lot of this verification is especially relevant for larger organizations. Then we might come back to you and say, hey, you said that you offer XYZ, but we don't see evidence of it in your policy. Do you have any more information to share with us? Part 3 is the one weighted at 75%. So the majority of the score goes to the work that you're doing, for the category. And for this, we have kind of a standardized scorecard that we use where we look at the different sections, and then we also look at the supporting documentation. Um, Part of why this is relevant as well, this 25 and 75%, we do have for all of the categories, we have SMEs every year that win. But what we also do, we go through sometimes and we see that some have very low part 2 scores, meaning they don't have a lot of internal policies and practices, but we see they have a high part 3. If we see this and we also see that they're an SME, we pull them out and put them in a separate SME pool. And this is the consideration for those additional SME champions. So we kind of pull them out and put them in a pool where they're judged against each other, so that you're not actually being judged against a multinational company that has all these policies and practices in place from the start. You're being judged against other SMEs that are similar to you. Um, yes, one other question with internal policies. The data is very carefully kept confidential and private, and is only for the UN Women team that reviews part two. If you're sharing an internal policy that has like heightened confidential information, or you're not typically allowed to share it externally, you can take a screenshot or you can redact some information and send us only parts of it. But otherwise, all the documentation is kept very secure and confidential. And after we do that shortlisting, we get a shortlist. And then when we send your application to the judges, we take all of the part two out. So the external judges don't see the part two information or the internal policies. They only see the part three supporting documentation. So we send these all to the judges. We have a briefing session with them where we all go over the scoring card together so that we try and maintain consistency in the scoring. We also do have them sign kind of an ethical judging and non-binding but non-disclosure agreement, and have them disclose if there are any conflict of interests. We don't have private sector companies as judges, and we don't have past winners, so that we really do try and ensure that there's no conflict of interest from the jury panel. We take that quite seriously. Um, and basically, when we get their scores back, they're kind of combined with the initial shortlisting scores and the part two. And we actually plug this into Excel to get the actual numeric values, and that determines the final winners, so that it's not us just being subjective. So it's that combination of doing some good practices in part two internally, but having very strong actual part three initiatives. Um, Something came to my mind, but maybe it will come back. Let's go to the website quickly because I want to answer a few more questions about the maybe just the application and show it to you, and then we can answer more questions live. So yeah, our application is here. You click apply. We do have an application guidance form that gives you some tips and tricks that you can download. You can also download the application if you need to share it with other departments or work on it across as a team. So here I would just select English, and then it takes me to the platform we use. So we just have a reminder on the categories. Okay. And then what I do when I'm on part one is I'll already select, okay, I want to apply for workplace and innovative financing. And then I might click next. So this is part two where we're asking internal policies and practices. So for example, number two, do you have a specific gender equality action plan in place, and has it been implemented? So many SMEs, we've started, but we don't have written commitments or a full strategy. So you would do that, and then you can click upload. And like I said, what you can do is just make a Word document and write what you're doing, right? Tell us, we are a small SME, we're working on developing a policy, but we don't have it yet. But this is what we do currently on gender. And then you can just upload that Word document, and that's okay. If you say, yes, we have done one or more of the following, this is often for larger organizations. Um, if you select all four options, that's the highest scoring option, selecting all, but then your supporting documents need to support every option: internal commitment, external commitment, specific activities, and we're actually monitoring, tracking, and reporting on progress. And yes, you can upload PDF, Word files. It also accepts Excel as well. if you want to upload an Excel file. I think it does take PowerPoint, but you can upload PowerPoint as a PDF as well. So similar here, we have no formalized criteria. That's fine if you're an SME. Just upload a Word document explaining what you do have. So we're definitely very open to working with SMEs in that sense. So then you go through part 2, all of these questions, and then when you click next, it already has the categories that I chose earlier. So gender inclusive workplace is here. So we asked for a brief title. And then, yeah, so we do have the word limit on. Good. So no cheating. I mean, you can upload lots of additional information in the supporting documents, but the word limit function is on. So once you write these in, and then browse files, so you can upload multiple, for example. Yeah, I won't show you all mine, but you can upload multiple files here, right? And like I said, if you have a video, you can either send a link to it or you can send us a WeTransfer link. And then it also here has my second category, innovative financing for gender equality, where I submit what I'm doing. Okay. I want to also show you on the website, have some FAQs. I think I've answered most of the questions that are in the chat. Ba, ba, ba. Okay, I think I've answered all the questions in the chat. We do have some FAQs on our website, a couple that I wanted to go over now. So sharing links, you can just send the link in a Word document. So put the link in a Word document and then upload the Word document. That's probably the easiest thing to do so that we have everything in one place. So we've had applicants do that before. They just have a Word document or a PDF that says, these are our links to this program, these are our links to this program. You can always do that. So timeline is a question we get often, and this question relates to it. So, can I apply for a project that's no longer active? Yes. Sorry, it can have been inactive, typically for more than a year. If it's a project that you started a long time ago, but it's still having an impact, that's fine. If it's a project that you ran in 2022 and you haven't done anything since then with it, it's probably not going to be a winning application. You can submit it, but we do want to see projects that are currently active or that are still having an impact. One other note on that, yes, it came to my mind from earlier. We do want to see results. If this is a new project that you are about to start, maybe it's a really fabulous project and a great idea, but you haven't started, it's not right for the WEPs Awards yet. We do want to see something that you have results from. It doesn't have to be fully completed. Maybe it's a project you just launched earlier this year, but you already have some promising results. That's fine. But if it's something that hasn't started yet, that's unlikely to, that's not quite what we want to see. Are there any fees for participation? No, not at all. And again, you don't have to be a WEP signatory. We do some light due diligence on companies. We do a basic due diligence through our kind of third-party assessors before we make the final determination of who the awardees are, but this is not a deeper due diligence. Yes, some of these we've been through. Is signing the CEO statement enough to be considered a WEP signatory? No, it has to go through the official portal. And that information will be in the PowerPoint as well. This is a one we get often, more for kind of larger organizations. If you're a global organization and you maybe have a regional office in Asia Pacific, plus you have multiple country offices, you can apply as a regional office and as a country office if you'd like. We do take into consideration that we won't give multiple awards to one company if they happen to have multiple branches. Um, but it has happened in the past where we may have had specific good work in the Indonesia office and the Malaysia office. At the regional level, because that's kind of the final pool, it's unlikely that a company would be awarded twice because we do try and keep the process as fair as we can, but you're welcome to submit for, X company regional office and Cambodia office and Malaysia office if there's different initiatives. One other note on that though, sometimes we see companies submitting for policies that have come from an HQ from global level, but they're not being implemented locally or they don't share local results from us. Sometimes there's a fabulous policy on inclusive workplace coming from the HQ in Europe or in New York, but they haven't showed us how it's adapted locally or what the specific results for the local market are. And because these are Asia Pacific awards, we really need to see that Asia Pacific action. Um, one more I think that we get a lot. Can I apply if I won previously? You can, yes. The typical rule for this is that, and you can apply for the same category since it's been 2 years. It just has to be have additional or expanded elements to it. If you show us it's the same initiative you won from before and you haven't changed anything or substantially added anything, it's very unlikely to be awarded, but you definitely can still apply. One other question we often get, I guess I still have hang on, let me share my screen fully again. Just a second, let me share full screen again. Oh, it doesn't want to. Okay, I'll stop sharing for a second. One of the other common questions that we get that I wanted to answer, yes, we do often get some companies hesitate to apply because they think, we're very new to the WEPs or we're only doing something on workplace. We're not implementing all the WEPs areas. It's too intimidating. That's fine. If it's the first time you've heard of the WEPs or right now you have a really great initiative supporting gender equality in the community, but you're not doing that much else on the WEPs, that's fine. Every single year, I'm amazed at the amount of winners at regional level as well that tell us I wasn't going to apply. Someone had to convince me. They kept pushing me to submit the application. I thought we had no chance. And then they became a regional winner because they're doing really great work for that Part 3 application. So that would be kind of maybe one of my main pieces of advice is even if you don't think you're doing enough, it probably is quite exciting to us and it really could be a winning application. Okay, any other questions? I will monitor the chat. I will also put I'll go ahead and put my email in the chat. You can always reach out to me if you have any other questions at all, or you start and you get stuck and you're not sure what to do, or you need to change something in the application, that's fine. So maybe just one note on the national and regional level awards, because I know it can get somewhat confusing sometimes. Sorry for going quickly. I don't want to make you all dizzy, but I want to show this slide quickly. So if you are from India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, the Philippines, or Vietnam, oh dear, sorry. Okay. Here we go. Your application first will go to our country teams there. So they have the India pool before we get to the regional pool. So for India, for example, they will have a national jury panel for these different countries where they will select up to 21 awardees at that national level. And then the top winners go into a larger pool where we have the top regional applications. So all those applications coming from Cambodia, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Fiji, Myanmar come to us at the regional office and we do our shortlisting process. And then at the end, we make sure we try and balance national ceremony and non-national applications so that when we get to that regional ceremony in November, we really try and have a good balance of awardees coming from all across the region. That's just maybe one question. We also get a lot. Any other questions in the chat or in general on the process? We are available anytime. Again, maybe just to share again, in case anyone didn't hear in the beginning, I think it's this slide. Applications close on June 30th, but if you are really keen to apply, but you're not sure if you can make the timeline, send me an email and we can work with you on the timeline. There is some flexibility. Officially, the deadline is June 30th, but we would rather hear what you're doing and have your practice than shut down the application. So we can work with you, just let us know. Any other questions? We can close early if there's no other questions, but just in case, I'll do one final wait. Okay, one in the chat. Thank you. Oh, okay. Thanks for joining. No question. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and close it there. We will share the recording and the slides after. You have my email. We're more than happy to answer any other questions. I see some familiar names in the chat. Thank you for joining us. And we hope to receive your application soon. Have a lovely day, everyone. Thank you.